but so proudly we hail. And the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the path.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Network. Jim,
How you doing?
back in the hot seat.
How you doing tonight? Yeah.
I'm doing fantastic. It's fantastic that you're here.
I'm a last-minute arrival, yeah.
I mean, a last-minute surprise. Literally, it was just about to send a text to Jim saying, gee, I guess you're not going to make it. And
here I am.
He walked in the door.
I was locked out, though. I had to knock my way in.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people, a lot going on out there, too. You know, don't want kids wandering in from the field.
Right, that's true. It is busy
program
out there right now. Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the Freedom Network. Constitution for Freedom at gmail.com. It's right there on your screen. We've got telephone number right there on the screen for you as well. If you do decide that you want to call in, we'd love to hear from you. Any topic, anything you want to talk about. Doesn't really matter as long as it's political, I guess. That's kind of what we do here. But anything that's going on in town, state, nation, global, whatever. It's all on the table here at the Freedom Network. If you want to interact on Facebook, send me an email. I can just send you links. It's a whole lot easier than trying to give you these links or post them up here and people try to write them down. It works much better. I used to try to say them and post them.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. Anyway, we got a lot on the docket. I got a lot on the docket, Jim.
Yeah, I have no idea what the plan was for you tonight,
You know,
Gary.
last week had promised we would continue to talk about some of the Federalist Papers, some of the stuff around that. We had a great email from Michael, a young viewer, who was and has always been conservative, but had bought into something. He had called up and he was talking about maybe he wants some more gun laws and we should do some of this kind of stuff after the last shooting. And I had just urged him to go, to read, to get the intent, because he was, you know, mixing a few things in there with the, you know, falling into that hunting philosophy, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, he then emailed me back. He had read some of the Federalist Papers. He reread the Constitution. Now, this is a guy our kid's age.
Okay.
One of yours, my kid's age. And he had changed his mind. And I was saying how it just makes it all worth it. You know, to just sit here and talk politics and talk to you and to be able to connect with people, especially a young person that is so just, you know, at that point, your opinions are so delicate.
Right.
And they can be so easily swayed.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't try to sway his opinion. I just asked him to go find out what was going on. And he did. So it was great. He still, I think, wants to get rid of bump stocks, right? But I said, he'll come around soon.
Well, listen, my 10-year-old daughter actually wanted to come on the show today and give you her opinion on Barack Obama. How about that?
I think that
Donald
she should
Trump.
come.
When I'm not sure. I'm not sure what those opinions would have been.
That's fine. They're all welcome.
I know, and I said that too.
Yeah, they're all welcome.
You know, probably something she's learned in school.
Yeah, right. I'm sure. Right. You probably know where that's going to go. We'll have her talk to Michael. That's all.
She was one of the ones that Hillary won in their little mock vote back in.
Oh yes.
Yes, back then.
Yes.
Her class voted for Hillary.
It can happen. You know what I wanted to do, folks, before we go any further? Let us just take a few seconds out of our busy, busy day and busy, busy show. Take a moment of silence and let's remember what happened today in history when brave Americans stormed a beach and began liberating millions of people from slavery. Let's just take a few seconds. All right. Not enough seconds, but we can't have dead air or people, the few of you out there may change the station. You know what I mean? We can't risk that. But honestly and truly, I mean, wow, what happened today in history is big.
It's huge.
And I put a post up today on Facebook saying that, you know, in the past, the young people were storming the beaches and starting to liberate people.
Was that today you did that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it was
I thought
today.
you did it the other day.
But
I saw it, though.
And now what are they doing? Now what are they doing? Now they're calling for socialism, young people. Not all young people, but too many. And they're calling for a style of government that brings just what we had to fight against. That's where it leads. It leads to all that kind of stuff. And then you know, they're eating Tide Pods and they're putting condoms in their noses. This is what's happened in just a
I
couple
heard
of
about
generations.
that. I haven't watched any video or anything on
No?
it, but I heard about that.
You ain't missing much, Jimmy. You ain't missing much. So, anyway, I think it's amazing at the difference that we have from yesterday, not long ago, to through today. It's how people feel about what government's role is, and it's a little bit nasty, in my opinion, as to how people really think that government is the answer. What was that? Was it Reagan that said if the government can't? I forget his quote. Forgive me.
Then don't say it.
Yeah. Oh, I won't misquote old Ron. You know, that would be like misquoting Trump or something.
Right.
I'll have an army of people.
An
outside.
army, at least an army.
Right. All right. So
I'm still looking for one of those mugs.
I'm gonna I want to apologize. Last week I was talking about the schools.
Okay.
And there's a lot of information flying around out there. And I have been made aware that I really might have put somebody off a little bit. You know what I mean?
You're talking about local schools?
Yeah,
Northbridge
local schools.
Okay.
So I have some information. I certainly apologize for that. You know, I was talking about the schools and how I'm not understanding how we don't do this, which has kind of been my position. So I won't mention her name because I don't know that the person wants me to, but I will get you the info that she said that I am missing, and then we can discuss it maybe for a minute. And I think I'm going to need some information, to be honest with you, from the school committee to find out, you know, one says this, the other says that, or maybe someone says something but leaves something out. You
That's
know,
a
that
common
happens a
theme.
lot in
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah.
But I would like to get to the bottom of it. Thank you for sending me the info, though. I love the open communication, and not my intent to upset you, especially if it's on the basis that I don't know every single thing about the debate. I don't know every single thing about the school debate. I have formed opinions based on what I know.
Sure.
And it looks to me, I'm going to say, like a good deal. But there's some things here that I'm going to go over from her email. I think she sent me 8 or 9 points. And she told me that I like to stir the pot, and I do.
And this is
Guilty. I'm sorry. I do. I do. You know that. I mean, even you know that. Me and you know that, right? I do.
Stir the pot.
I'm a pain in the ass. I get it. But no intent of malice to you. So I just wanted to just let
And
that
what's
get out
on
there
now?
publicly.
So the subject line is whether or not to do a new school here in town. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, that's a subject matter, of which I think I stated I was 90% in favor of.
You're right. I recall you saying that.
But I'm reading some of the things that she said. I'm kind of happy I reserved that 10% in there somewhere. You know what I mean? Because I'm not so happy with some of the things I see here.
All right, well,
so
fill me
let's
in.
get to it. Let's see. She references 3 on 11, and they had Paul on, and they had all kinds of information that I said I didn't have, and they had it.
Okay.
I should watch 3 on 11 more. I should.
We probably all should.
I think we should. I mean, they got the best warm-up show in the world, right? Gotta have fun. All right, anyway. In the first 20 minutes of the show, Paul read the school administrator's increase for 2019. Someone from the school had sent to them. So, and these are the things, so is that someone from the school committee that sent it? These are the things, these are the missing pieces that I do want to know because I don't know. And it's, you know, it's 2018, right? She just emailed me, boom, all this information. So that's great. So if you could do that one more time, I would like to know. One of the school committee meetings, they acknowledged that this would be the biggest new elementary school in Worcester County. That we were talking about last week as well. So this would be the biggest new elementary school in Worcester County.
Okay. So now are they doing that because there's so many kids in town, or are they the potential growth over the next 20 years? I mean, why do we have to have the biggest?
I don't know. We're
Should
one
I
of the
say we?
smallest towns.
I'm in Uxbridge these days, guys, so I shouldn't say we.
But I mean, we are one of the smallest towns. It does beg the question: why would the small town need the
Biggest school.
school? I don't know.
I mean,
So
listen,
that's a
if
question I have
if they're
on the
planning
other
for the
side from
future-
the school committee.
Listen, if they're planning for the future, there's something to be said for that because you don't want to outgrow your school in 5 years after you built it.
Not when you're paying
So-
for it for 30.
Right. So maybe they want it to be able to support 30 years from now.
The next point was the new bomber will require, and we will get to those Federalist Papers. I know there's some of you hanging on.
Is that what it's going to be called, by the way, the new bomber?
It almost sounds like the old bomber. The new bomber will require an override every year to maintain the school. They can't maintain what they have today. Now, interesting points, I think, on both sides there. They actually scored high from the state on maintenance, if you can believe that.
Okay.
So maybe the standard is too low. I don't know. But they did score high on it. An override every year, the override would stay in. So if you did an override, which I don't think you can really earmark, so maybe you mean we'd have to do a debt exclusion every year to continue to fund it. But I'm going to tell you something. If we can't fit that into the budget, that's not a good thing. We got to be able to fit it into the budget,
Right.
without an override.
Right.
So that bothers me. Stickney Soup said that she will not reduce the number of administrators when they combine the schools. See, to me, that makes absolutely no sense. How do you combine the schools and not? Because they probably, do they need the same administrator per pupil ratio? Is that what they're going after? I mean, why wouldn't they? Like,
Gotta
how
be-
many?
It must be their argument.
There's got to be some redundancy there, I would think. So that's a great point. What independent group ever validated what the real cost of a remodel, upgrade, and repair and add would be? That's a great question. I think there are answers to that question, though. I think that at the one meeting I made it to in my life, right, they did talk about that. Now, I don't know if it was an extensive study or what that would be, but they do have a number for it. And they did have a number for it. I'm trying to remember. I should have recorded it. I think it was recorded, though. We could probably look it up right here on the station.
But that was
that
like
number was close.
But that was a contractor that just sang, right? And he could have been saying from other school projects he's done in other towns,
Right.
and not from
Right.
an actual study
Correct.
on that particular school.
One thing he was very emphatic about was that there is no guarantee of a price in a remodel.
Right.
Because if I got to tear down a wall, like in your house, if it's an old house, you don't know what you're going to find. It could add to the cost, and that is unfortunately true with any kind of a remodel.
Right.
So I don't really know what it would be. So it's a great point. Let's see. The school committee chose a school bigger than they needed. The MSBA would have approved a less elaborate school. I know they even did scale it back. If it doesn't need to be the biggest one, best. Why do we need? I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. That's a solid question.
Yeah, but I'm not sure it's not necessary
True.
for the long haul. I mean, again, you're going to be paying for this school for 30 years, so you want it to be able to support 30 years worth of growth, wouldn't
Right.
you?
I would.
Okay.
I would, but I would. Yeah, I guess I would.
And
I
I'm
would.
not, listen, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that school wouldn't be more than adequate. You know, maybe you could still scale it down and it's going to be able to support 30 years worth of growth,
Sure.
but I don't know that at the moment. And I certainly wouldn't want it to be undersized if I'm going to be paying. I mean, listen, 10 years from now, it's undersized.
Yeah, that
And you're
would be
still
rough.
paying for it for another 20?
That would be rough. She goes on to say that people don't believe the school committee because they have deceived the citizens many times.
No.
And a couple of closing words, but she had something else.
Couple
That's when
closing
she
words?
told me I was nothing that makes her sound bad or anything. But she did tell me I'm a pot stirrer, and I am. I won't
Occasionally.
deny it. With good intent. But look, if stirring the pot gets these facts, I had replied in an email to her, and like I had said, if I don't know, then someone else doesn't know.
Right.
So bring the facts out, because I will. I'll send the school committee an email, and I'll ask them about these things, and see if I can get some answers, which I may be able to get some answers. So now, what I want to do is just go, because she had some numbers in one other email that she sent me. Oh boy, this is big. All right, so she's talking about Stickney and the school director of the budget. Between them, they make $250,000 a year. Is what? It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money between them. I don't know what the breakdown is.
Sure. Yeah.
Social Security, they didn't even get enough to buy a few cups of coffee. But that really was what stood out to me, that number. That's a big number.
So 2 people's salary combined, whatever the breakdown of the two.
Yeah.
It's 250 grand.
250 grand.
you know.
Look, I'm going to be dead honest with you all. All
Some
right?
would say you get what you pay for. I've heard that. I've heard that before.
Well, absolutely, and in some cases you do. I'm not. This is a real tough one. This is just a tough one.
Well, don't the selectmen in town? That's voluntary, right? Nobody's getting paid for that. Right?
I think they know. They get like $1,000. I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Maybe the chief in charge there gets 1,100. I don't
Okay.
know. So I heard something like that.
All right.
I'm sure I'll be corrected
Well,
if I'm wrong.
Maybe if they got like 70, 80,000, maybe they, we'd get better selectmen.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, you gotta find them and run them first. Oh boy. All right. So there you go. For the record, if I stand corrected, I stand corrected, and then I'm gonna really find out, and if those things are true, that will affect my opinion.
So what are you, like 70-30 at the moment now?
Right now, I think I dropped. I'm gonna drop down. I need more facts. I'm gonna drop down to 75.
75.
75. Took
So
15
you'd still-
points.
So boom. So if it happened today, you're pulling the trigger and you're saying, let's do a new school.
Well, if it happened today, I'm going in there and I'm going to gut check myself 75% of the time. Today, I'm going to come out voting yes.
Yeah.
Tough to say that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
just-
like
I'm
saying
just
it.
listening.
I mean, I almost hope the 25% in me wins out. But you did definitely make me question it. Let's see. We got an email from Tom. Young people should read about how many people were killed by Stalin in the name of communism. Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely. I mean, it's just disgusting to see American kids with T-shirts on of socialists and Marxists and communists, and it's disgusting. I mean, what the hell is going on in these elaborate schools that we have? Why isn't it let's teach the Constitution from beginning to end with the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, the whole 9 yards? Why aren't we teaching them about this? Well, many would say because they don't want you to know.
Right.
But then who is they? I don't know. Maybe this is they. We'll find out. We're going to jump on the line
phone.
here.
It says phone. I like that.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Good evening. You're on the Freedom Network. How are you?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen, and Gary and Jim.
How you
How
doing?
are you?
Hey, I'd like to thank you for taking a minute relative to what happened 74 years ago today on June 6, 1944. And
Sure.
a lot of viewers out there may have family members and that were there or took part in all the Americans that were involved. And just a short fact, in that quick time span, 10,400 Americans lost their lives on Utah and Omaha beaches. And just like I said, I just want to thank you for taking a minute. And for the young people out there that really don't know what we're talking about, I would ask them to watch Saving Private Ryan the first 45 minutes, and they would get an eyeful of what fellow Americans went through on that day, hitting the beaches and freeing the tyrant of Nazi Germany. And it's something that as Americans, I hope we never forget. And I did meet General Omaha Bradley many years ago, and one of his regrets was that he said that he was upset that the bombers missed a lot of bombing the beaches because they were going to create craters for the infantry soldiers
Okay.
to able to lie in. But for some reason, anyway, they misshot the beach, and that was one of his regrets. And maybe sometime when I see you, Gary, I'll tell you more about.
Sure. Sounds like a very
meeting
interesting
with him.
story.
But
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to deviate to the schools for a second.
Go ahead.
And, now, it's my understanding on the maintenance, Gary, is that the town is going to be getting a lot of money from the solar projects in town, and the town manager advised me that they were going to be using that money from the solar projects for maintenance of the school buildings and the other maintenance needs in town.
Is that in writing anywhere?
All I could do is, it was one of the last 2 or 3 town meetings ago, the former town manager, when they were bringing up the solar projects, and I asked right in the town meeting, I said, is that maintenance money also for the schools? And the former town manager replied, yes. So recently confirmed by just asking the present town manager. But I mean, if that's correct, you would not need an override to maintain that school. You know, if that solar fund money is going to be going for the maintenance of the schools, and I agree with Jim that you have to look at a project 30 years out, because like you say, you don't want to undersize it, and then you're paying for something that you can't use. And then just on the salaries, I believe the school used to have a deputy superintendent, and that position was eliminated. And so the superintendent is not just doing her job, she's also doing the deputy superintendent's job. And I believe the vice principal's job at NES is being eliminated. But
Well, I
the thing-
see. That's what
the
I
things
don't
that
know.
I
I had heard that too, but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, like I said, it would definitely be a good shout out. Maybe, like I said, to get maybe Mike might come on, but those are all things that I heard just to rebut that email that you received, Gary. And again, I just want to thank you all for mentioning that you know, today's day in history, and I want to thank you both for what you do for the town, and stay safe and stay well, gentlemen.
You too, bud. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for being out there as always.
Do you know how much money is generated from that solar
No,
program?
I don't. I do not. As a matter of fact, I don't know. You know who would know that is Harry. Might have an idea on that.
But I mean, is there even enough money that generated from it to support the maintenance?
I don't know. I mean,
is there a plethora of money to support that and maybe other things? I mean,
it seems to me as I don't know if there would be a plethora
right.
of money. I mean, when
I'm
is
just
there?
saying.
I mean, they like to talk about the free cash they have all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard that
Oh, I
again. I
hate
was
that.
watching a
Oh, I
meeting.
hate that.
Drives me
I hate
bananas. It really does. It's baloney, Jim.
Oh my, that's the biggest baloney.
Free money. How does a government that has no money, no money?
You got another phone call there, Gary.
We're rocking and rolling here. All right, let's see who we got on the line. And good evening. You are on the Freedom Network. How are you?
I'm Mr. Rosenberg. It's Mike.
Oh, wait a minute here. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Rosenberg.
Boom. You are loud and clear, my friend. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So I just wanted to really quickly go back to communism. I know you briefly spoke about it.
This is Mike, right?
Yes, this
Is the Mike I was talking about before.
Mike.
The
so
Mike.
Oh, the
my
Mike that I-
great-great-grandfather
our kids
actually lived in
are,
Poland, and when the Russian army came in and started basically enforcing communism, they took him hostage at the age of 15, forced him into the army, and then threw him into a work camp along with all of his brothers and dad. And we never really found his brothers, and we think they killed them, all because of communism.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, communism was not a friend of my ancestors in any way, shape, or form, even my own grandmother. You know, what do you think about the kids your age running around with T-shirts on that support socialists and Marxists?
Oh, it's
and that
despicable.
stuff?
I see them do it at my own school. And I ask them, why do you believe it works? And they always say, free health care, free education. And I say, it's not really free. You're paying for everyone's. That's what they don't understand.
Right.
And I tried to give them a basic lesson on economics, but they don't really pay attention.
No, because they truly believe that there's, see, Mike, they believe that there's really free cash in the Northbridge budget. That there's free cash. There is no free cash.
No.
As a matter of fact, if there is free cash, or what I say would be unspent money, it should all be refunded to the citizens
Right.
every year.
Rainy day
I
fund.
agree, yeah.
No need.
Like, there was a kid that wore a USSR shirt before, and
Wow.
I
In the
basically
school?
was trying to explain to him, do you know what that, he had the hammer and sickle. I was like, do you know what that means? They kind of killed, I think, 40 to 60 million people. And he was like, I don't care, it looks cool. And I was like,
Wow.
well, that's not too
So let me, Mike,
smart to wear that.
let me ask you a question. Now, this was in school, has a USSR shirt on, right?
Yes.
Now, that clearly offended you.
Absolutely,
Was
yeah.
was the person forced to turn that shirt inside out?
No, but if I have a shirt that I wanted to wear and it said, I stand for the flag, and it had a soldier holding a gun, and I'm not allowed to wear that because it has a gun on it.
Are you
even
kidding
though
me?
it's a patriotic shirt.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think
Student
it's
handbook,
baloney.
it doesn't let you wear anything with weapons on it.
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
like a, I mean,
I know, it's ridiculous.
so you can wear a USSR shirt, a hammer and sickle, You could probably, I assume, wear something that says socialism is king.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe could you wear chi, on the shirt? I wonder.
I don't know.
I'd love to. Can you email me a copy of all that, wherever they have that written down in some handbook?
Sure,
for you,
I'll
what
try
you
to
can and
find
can't.
it.
If you can put your hands on it, I think that would be fantastic. That's
Okay.
unbelievable.
All right. It's probably
So I
something-
just wanted to call in and tell you that really quickly. Didn't mean to bring the subject back, but
No, bring it back. That's what the show's all about, and I appreciate you calling, man.
well, thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, bud. You too.
Yeah, I think students these days, they sign some sort of thing at the beginning of the year that they're
So,
going to agree to certain
I
things.
can't believe what I just heard, though. So you can wear a USSR shirt with a hammer, the sickle, and what that represents, the death. He's right, the death that represents. You can do that.
Well, maybe you can. Maybe you can't. Nobody picked up on it.
Maybe no
Guy
one
was
picked
wearing-
up on
you know
it.
what I'm saying?
All right, all right.
Sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the greasy. Maybe he should have told somebody that he was offended by it, and then it upset
Maybe.
him.
Now, that would have been a great question for him. Did someone say that they were offended by his shirt? I wonder.
All right.
But it had a gun on it. I don't know. Let's jump back on the phones, see what the next opinion out there may be. Good evening. You're on the Freedom Network. How are you?
Hey, what's up, buddy? I got some figures for you.
Oh, look at you. Are you local to us here?
Of course I am.
You must be coming soon. All right, bring it.
All right, these figures came from a source inside the school department.
Okay.
All right, but from what I understand, they can be found on Notably Northbridge, if you remember.
I am.
They were posted by Steve Falconer,
All right.
and they were agreed upon by Mike for Schools.
Okay. All right.
I have a history with Mike
Okay,
from schools.
now they've been laying off personnel, and these are the increases that the administration has been getting. The superintendent's salary from FY15 was $132,229. In FY19, it's going to be $147,175. That's almost an 11.5% increase.
Wow.
The director of business and finance salary, that's the business manager. They just added on a new title for her. She's now the director of business and finance.
Whoa, that's got to be worth a few bucks.
In FY15, her salary was $94,347. In FY19, it's going to be $109,771. That's a 16.34% increase.
Now, but those increases, you're going back, what, 2 years to the salary?
Going back 4 years.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure we threw that out there.
Figure 4% every year.
Yeah, that's what
5%
I'm
every
trying to
year.
do is the math in my head. That's exactly what I'm
those
doing.
two now. I remember a while back I used to joke those two almost make $250,000. They make over that now.
Wow.
The director of curriculum
Yes.
in FY15 they made $100,000. In FY19 it was only $106,657. So that's only a 6.5% increase. Apparently,
They got the raw end, man.
apparently that person isn't kissing the right ass.
That's funny.
The director of facilities operations.
Oh, now there's a
That's
job.
maintenance.
Yeah.
In FY15, it was $64,740, and in FY19, it went up to $81,200.
That's-
Now, this guy, that's a 25% increase. I'm told he quit.
Well, listen, I'll argue that guy was underpaid before.
Well, but he lived in New Hampshire, and he also had a $12,000 travel expense.
Oh.
Oh,
If there's an emergency,
they couldn't find
what's he
someone a
gonna
little
do?
more local.
Take is he gonna take what's his name's that psycho thing there, that quick train there underneath the
I have no
that
idea.
they got in California is from New Hampshire? Is he gonna get down here in 15 seconds?
No, I didn't realize he was from New Hampshire. All I was arguing is that $84,000 for a facilities manager might not be overpaid. That's
No,
I guess that's what I was arguing.
If you look at the facilities at Burma, you might think that's too much.
Well, in all
I've had a
fairness-
few kids go through that school, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
In all fairness, though, the guy can only work with what he's got, right? I mean, he can't make things happen if there's
Dude,
no.
that was a new hire, Gary.
Yeah.
The other guy, they fired the other guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we got an extra couple of points for maintenance. Is the MSBA gone to Obama and taken a look at it?
I assume they have.
assume not.
They were grading us
So
on
the
the
guy,
maintenance.
so this new guy quit.
Yeah, they were grading on the high school, probably.
So there's a
Oh.
The director of pupil personnel, that's special education. In FY14, the salary was $93,968, and in FY19, it's going to be $107,703. That's a 14.5% increase.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Technology director, FY15, there was a stipend of $20,000. In FY19, it's going to be $91,350. That's a
What?
357% increase.
what's
What the
going
hell
on
is
there?
that?
Who knows that person? Or
I
who's that
don't know.
person know?
Athletic
That's
director
crazy.
stipend, FY14, $7,800, FY19, $18,000, 128% increase. And it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah,
They're laying
waste.
people off, but the administrators they're giving the administrators gigantic raises.
Now,
I've been,
didn't I
I've been
just
talking
see?
about that for a long time.
Didn't I
Gary.
just see that they were hiring as well?
Well, yeah, they probably are.
Well, it sounds like they're
They let
hiring a
some people
facilities
go.
manager. Where do I go for that job?
Yeah, right. It's a good paying job.
Yeah, it's local.
Just contact,
Never.
stick me with the bill.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting, my friend.
So there you go. Those are your figures. Like I said, they're laying off. They came up, I forget how many hundreds of $1,000s short. They laid off a bunch of people, and they just keep giving raises out to the administration.
That's how it's always been.
It's not
Well,
good.
whoever that woman was that sent you that 9-point email, she's
Yeah.
on the ball.
Yeah, she seems to have some pretty good facts on there, and I guess she had them, a lot of them from your show.
And you know what? You're looking 30 years out.
Yeah.
You want to build a school that's bigger. Well, the problem is we don't want to attract any more people to the town. The more people you attract to the town, the more expensive it gets. Because
Yeah.
they all have kids.
Yes.
Yeah, you just got to build the houses in the lots proper so that you're getting the right excise tax for the or the right
Property
tax for the amount of kids that are going to be in that home.
We want
That's
business.
all.
We want more business, not more.
Oh, no
not-
doubt, no doubt, you want more business.
I was saying in the beginning of this, I don't know why a town this size hasn't looked into a regional school system of some
Oh,
kind.
that's probably a good idea because the state keeps underfunding. Has been underfunding the schools forever.
Right.
They want to try to get rid of Proposition 2.5.
Well, and you look at these regional schools, to be honest with you, they're in pretty good shape. Most of them are in pretty good shape.
and
you
they
know.
they pay some pretty big salaries too.
Yeah, they do. All
But
right.
apparently they don't.
Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks,
All right.
man. Woo!
That was mind blowing.
Mind blowing. I'm going to tell you something. 70%. It's dropping. We've lost 20 points.
I want that $84,000
20 points.
facilities manager job, and I'll take that $12,000 because I'd only be driving from Uxbridge, but I'll still take the $12,000 for the
Stipend?
travel.
Wow. Does that blow your mind? Because that blew my mind. I don't know, Mike, if you're out there, but they said that you agreed with all those numbers. That's what he said. If you do agree that those numbers are true, not that you may agree with them. Hang on,
Right.
I don't want to put an opinion in your mind. You
Agree
may
that
think,
what was
yeah,
said was
Mike
true.
might think that's
Right.
not
Right.
good, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just the way that the cookie crumbled, I guess. I don't know. But I would love for you to let me know if they're not real. If they are real, I don't know, man.
Well, let him tell you how he feels about them.
Yeah, I would love for you to tell me how you feel about them. And anybody else, how do you feel about those numbers? What was that? Technology?
One that was like 19,000.
Yeah, it was like
went to
20
nine-
grand to 70 grand or 80 grand.
went to like 91,000 from a $7,000 stipend in the beginning. Something crazy. It was whatever it was. It blew my mind.
Wow. I can't. I mean, I almost forget the rest of what he said.
I remember.
Is any of it?
I remember the last time this town was. Well, not the last time. One of the times when they were looking for an override,
Yeah,
and we could not find the breakdown of salaries.
I remember.
I was working hard to find
Yeah.
it, and I could not.
You
get
were.
it.
Well, you were too busy lurking about.
Is that what it was?
Oh yeah. No, I don't know. I'm so confused now with this whole school thing, between the emailer and Paul's information, and if that's valid information, which I don't think that he's bringing false information in. If he is, I hope that someone would correct it. But if that's really true, with those salaries and stuff, man, you know, that's just crazy. And
It's
you know,
ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be for it, and I'm trying to be for it, and I'm having a harder and harder time, it seems, as the days go on. See, I'm susceptible to influence on this, is what it really is. I am. I can't deny
Well,
it.
listen, a town's never successfully gotten an override by saying, listen, if we don't get this override, we're going to have to lay off some of these administrative people. You know, no, don't worry, nothing's going to happen to the teachers, but, you know, we might lose a couple of administrators.
Right.
You know, who's going to say, oh, wait, let's vote for an override?
Yeah, right.
That's
Right.
not going to happen.
No, that's true. Oh, man, what a mess. What a tangled web we weave. If you have anything else that you want to discuss locally, just call in, email in. Email's been quieter than the phones. It's usually the other way around.
All right.
What are you going to do? You never know. Like they say when you own a business, you open the door, you never know who's going to walk in. Well, I'll tell you one thing. For Michael, for the others, we'll talk a little bit about the Federalist Papers. We'll talk a little bit about America, what it's all about. And if you want to chime in on this or any other topic, just pick the phone up and call in. I'd love to hear some opinion and feedback from what Paul just told us and what the emailer just told us. And some of those things do line up. And Paul says that Mike confirms it.
Right.
I got to find that out. I got to find that out. I'm having trouble moving on.
I know.
I'm having a lot of trouble, but I made promises
Those
to.
numbers were crazy.
It's 36 already. I told him by 20. Boom, I'll be into it.
Well, get into it then. Wrap your mind around it and get into it.
Oh, it's tough. I mean, if it wasn't one of my favorite topics, I think we'd have to really dive into this. But again, it's like I said to the emailer, I don't have enough facts. I am dying to get Mike on the program. Got to get Mike on the program. Got to get some of these questions answered so that we can see exactly what it is that we're looking at. And as I think more about it, I do wonder, why do we need the biggest? I still don't know why we need the biggest. I mean, the biggest? Like, it has to be the biggest in Worcester County. So if it's the biggest in Worcester County, that includes some pretty big towns. Are we going to grow bigger than...
Probably not.
Well, maybe that's what they want to do. I don't know. I do agree, though. The problem with bringing in more people is they have a couple of kids, you're dead in the water. When it comes to the cost, it's so expensive to send them to the schools.
Don't talk to me about kids in schools.
Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. They'll come after you.
I was a big drain on the town of Northbridge, okay?
You were. Don't worry, folks. He's not anymore.
I'm not anymore, yeah.
No. All right. Federalist Papers. We started to talk about this last week. And what we just touched on, that there's about, I think, 85 written by Hamilton, Madison, and Jay, little lesser known guy. Had some good writings, though. I think that they were, I wrote down here in some notes, 1787, 1788. See, they basically what they were used for was a debate, right? They were used for info. To get information out to the masses to try to persuade the Anti-Federalists to sign the Constitution. And, it's interesting. Hang on, I got an email. It comes from Bob. I'm totally at a loss for how much money is feeding the salaries of these administrators, and yet the schools are in the shape they are in. I always wondered where the money goes. Now I know.
Now you know, yeah.
And that, Bob, is the rest of the story. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. This has been your war cry for the 10 years I've known you, whatever it is. Yeah, it really has.
Now, listen, I'm not saying people shouldn't get paid for what they do. It's just, come on now.
It's a lot of money. Well, it's a lot of money when things are falling down around you. I think that's where the angst comes in.
Sure.
Among the citizenry is, the thing is falling down. It's falling down. Let's see. I got an email says from Laura, and expected to drop consistent with the state documented many places. What did I say? I said something and my email sometimes takes a while. I'm sorry, Laura, but I don't know what you were referencing there. But send it back to me. I'll interrupt. I will interrupt Madison only for the local people here in North.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, this was a debate they were having. They were anti-federalists. They were federalists. A federalist believed in that federal central government. The anti-federalists didn't. They basically, I think, wanted the states to just all be independent nations. Is probably the easiest way to explain it. But this is your interpretation of the Constitution. We always want an interpretation. We've actually come to believe that the Supreme Court is supposed to interpret the Constitution. They're not supposed to interpret it. They're just supposed to make sure that everything that the government is doing is
within it.
Within it, right. That's all they're supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to decide what Madison meant. We know what Madison meant. These are the things that aren't taught in school. If they were taught in school, you think people would walk around with the hammer and sickle?
A few might.
A few might. And at that point, I won't go there. They're kids. They're children, Gary. They're children. Anyway, they were also selling themselves, don't forget, in the Federalist Papers. And they were doing it secretly, under pseudonyms. And they were explaining how they felt about freedom and how best to preserve it. They felt that the federal government would help to preserve it. They really did. What's interesting is I've done a lot of anti-federalist reading over the past few weeks and months, and I feel as though they really might have had some points, because everything, Jim, that they warned about a federal government could become, it's become.
Yeah.
So you got to say to yourself, who was really right? I mean, Madison I've always thought was my favorite. Maybe I have to rethink that a little bit. I don't know. Because he was a big Federalist. But I don't think that they thought that it would, almost like, you saying to me, Gary, but this will become this. And I'm like, no, it's never going to become that.
Sure.
I think they believed it. They just didn't safeguard enough. This is why you've got those first 10 amendments. Because they couldn't get signatures. They couldn't get signatures. One of the last holdouts was Rhode Island. Wouldn't sign. Because there weren't enough protections from the feds for the rights that they felt that they had.
Sure, yeah.
And they do have. You have and I have them. So we can look at some of what they said, right? And I don't want to get overly reedy. And this is not that long, because I just took an excerpt from it. And I do hate to just read. But I'm going to do it just for a minute. And I'm going to pause within it, and we're going to discuss it. And we're going to learn how just taking a little piece of the Federalist Papers, just a little one, and try to understand what the mindset was of the person writing it. In this case, it was Madison. I was just going to say, turn up the volume and let this get in your head, okay? This was from Federalist number 46. All right, I'm going to just try to fly through this, but there's a few key spots I have to stop at. You know what the one thing is that I should have done is highlighted this. I now have learned, after all these years, I can highlight on the computer. Such an idiot, you know what I mean? I didn't know. All right, the highest number to which, according to the best computation, a standing army can be carried in any country does not exceed 1/100th part of the whole number of souls, or 1/25th part of the number able to bear arms. This proportion would not yield, in the United States, an army of more than 25 or 30,000 men. He's talking about a federal army.
Yeah.
To these would be opposed a militia amounting to near 500,000 citizens with arms in their hands, officered by men chosen from among themselves, fighting for their common liberties, and united and conducted by governments possessing their affections and confidence. So let's go back for a minute. To these would be opposed a militia, meaning when people say that the Army or the Navy or the Air Force or the Marines is the militia, it's not the militia.
Right.
Very big common misconception. People do really believe that that's the militia. It's not the militia. As a matter of fact, none of these people, as you could see in the ratio of people, wanted a standing army that would be, in fact, large enough to battle the states down.
The states down, right.
That was never intended.
Right.
By either side. I don't think any of them could possibly even fathom that. So now I have to find, because I didn't highlight. It may well be doubted whether a militia thus circumstanced could ever be conquered by such a proportion of regular troops. Those who are best acquainted with the last successful resistance of this country against the British arms will be most inclined to deny the possibility of it. Besides the advantage of being armed, which the American possesses over the people of almost every other nation, the existence of a subordinate government to which the people are attached, subordinate government to which people are attached, and by which the militia officers are appointed, forms a barrier against an enterprise of ambition more insurmountable than any which simple government in any form can admit of. This gets interesting. Notwithstanding the military establishments in the several kingdoms of Europe, which are carried as far as the public resources will bear, the governments are afraid to trust the people with arms, and it is not certain that with this aid alone they would not be able to shake off their yokes. But were the people to possess the additional advantages of local governments, chosen by themselves, who could collect the national will and direct the national force, and of officers appointed out of their militia by these governments, he's talking about the states,
Right.
and attached both of them to the militia, it may be affirmed and attach both of them, the people it may be affirmed with the greatest assurance that the throne of every tyranny in Europe would be speedily overturned in spite of the legions which surround it. Let us not insult the free and gallant citizens of America with the suspicion that they would be less able to defend the rights which they would be in actual possession than the debased subjects of arbitrary power would be to rescue theirs from the hands of their oppressors. That's frickin' deep, okay? That's deep. Rewind it. Listen to it. Google it. Read it. I mean, come on. This is, what do you think of that? I mean, like, what do you think of that?
Well, for starters, I think he's got all his bases covered.
Yeah, he definitely did. That he did. And that's just a small portion of that essay.
Right.
I mean, they do get a little wordy, and they are a little hard to read. And, you know, I tried to do my best with it, but...
Now, I would imagine that excerpt is part of what made you a fan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it clearly explains that the federal government never should have the power, and to protect it, it's the people will have the right. So they wrote the Second Amendment many times, trying to get it right. But they come up with a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that the United States of America is a state, so to speak, but don't forget that most of those powers that were given to the federal government in the Constitution have to do with the big brick issues. Trade, immigration, you know, things of ensuring that the states are granting and protecting the rights of the people. I mean, the first, I think, or second thing in the president's job description is trade, is being the representative of the United States to the world.
To the world, yeah.
To the world stage. The president's not supposed to get on TV and decide what policy you follow in Northbridge, Massachusetts. That's why I get so nuts when people run around trying to worship these politicians.
Right.
They love Obama. They love Trump. They want to be led. These guys didn't want you to be led. They wanted you to lead. It's right in front of you. They say, you lead. You don't sit back and get led. To me, it's an absolute no-brainer when we talk about things like the Second Amendment. If you can't or haven't read through this stuff, and there's a lot more to it, and try to develop an understanding for it, then you really can't have the conversation.
You shouldn't have the conversation.
Well put. Well put. You really shouldn't. Because how do you really know what you're talking about? Now, what you're talking about is your opinion. But the right of the people to keep and bear arms wasn't in there initially. Then it was, then it wasn't. Fascinating stories about that stuff. I do want to just get to Laura. She might have a thing. Hi, Gary.
You did say you'd interrupt.
I did, and here I am doing that, right? I didn't even know if it had come in before. Well, it probably did come in before, and I didn't notice it. School population in Northbridge has been dropping and expected to continue to drop for foreseeable future, which is consistent with the state aid documented on many websites.
Yeah, but that's for a different reason. That's because the schools are so poor that people are bringing their kids' school choice other places. I would argue that anyway.
Second school committee is trying to have a fall election, separate from the town fall election, as they think the results will go their way. This is another reason townies have no faith in the school committee. Yeah, I don't know that you need a special election, because less people go to special elections, and usually motivated people to vote on that one issue will go to that election. Why not let it be when you're doing everything else?
Right.
I mean, let's face it, we only attract 100 people at a town meeting anyway.
Well, we've been to one where it was
Oh, yeah.
500 plus.
That was a big one. That was a big one. Would have been nice if we could have talked at it.
Oh, I don't remember getting hammered down.
No, I got gavelled down. I don't know what happened to him. He was at
I
the
just
last
said
town
nay
meeting.
a
He went to
couple
the
times.
hospital.
What was the word I had to say? I forget what it was. 'Cause
I
they,
forget.
They had to go through the whole entire
Yeah,
budget.
every time.
and I had to just like say something,
yeah.
they'd note it so that I could, like, pull the person up.
what the
afterwards.
hell's in? I can't think of it. It just was in the tip of
And,
my
right,
tongue.
I can't remember what I had to say out loud. But then when
Yeah.
I went up there, we went through like 5 of them, and then they're like, hey, "Are you the one for the rest of these?" Yes, I am.
Since you hold it,
Same
hold it.
question.
Don't you have to
Is
hold it?
Hold? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
hold.
Yeah, maybe it was hold.
Yeah, hold. Oh man, that was. The things that I'm sitting here because of that meeting.
Right, you are.
I'm
Yeah.
sitting here because of that meeting.
Yeah.
What's that whole? They created this monster. No, I'm going to tell you something right now. There is a lot to be said for the whole way that the town conducts itself during these override battles. They're battles, and I'm trying like crazy to stay up. I'm not gonna I'm trying not to let it sink down. But I guess at some point you got to reply in kind, if people get a little crazy. But so far the debate has been great. You know what I mean? So far it's been great. I've had emailers calling and yelling at me is fine. Telling me I'm wrong.
Sure.
That's what the show's all about. It's
Yeah.
about debate.
Yeah.
Go ahead. That's fine. But in priors, it just got dirty.
Dirty.
Real dirty. And I said last week on the show, you weren't here. I said I wished you were there too, I think, when I was talking about it. But when you do that, you turn people off. And what happens is they start to vote against you, not the issue.
Right.
So you cloud the whole waters. When you say to someone, you don't know shit, blah, 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 this and that, right? Well, boom, I just said a bad word. I'm sorry. But when you do that, right, I did it. So what's going to happen? They'll
I
beep
don't
it
know.
out.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll
Are we
find
on a
out.
delay?
This could
I
be
don't
the
think
last
we're on a
episode
delay.
of the Freedom Network, right? Series finale. But when you you know what I mean.
Right.
I don't want to get
Right.
too upset and start saying the wrong thing. But when you do that, you do become the face of and the issue. Actually, you become the face and the issue.
Right.
And then people say, well, I don't like Gary, so I'm voting against that. Or I don't like Gary, I'm voting for that. Because if he likes it, I'm not. That's why I always say that probably the best campaign for this is no campaign. It's probably the best campaign. Do nothing. Just do nothing. And you know what? It could slip in. It could slip in. There's a lot of motivated tax increases that are in the town. And I'm slipping away from being a motivated tax increaser. I'd like to really, I got a couple of sticky points. It's the salaries going up, and I get it, and I do get it, but beyond the salaries, it's also the size of this school. I mean, it really is the largest school in Worcester County. Worcester
Would be.
County's
Would be,
big.
yeah.
Big.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not sure. I'm not saying I see why they need it. I'm just not sure they don't.
Right. And
That's
we'd
all.
have to find out what the reality is with a new school. Then what would the growth rates be?
Right.
Because that would attract people. But like I always say, what really attracts people to this town, let's face it, I mean, not saying everybody, but a majority of the people that have moved to Northbridge in the past 15 years, I bet you over 50%, I think I said 60 or 70%, probably because of the tax rate.
Right. It's less
Absolutely.
expensive.
And when you don't live in, especially if you live outside of the state, or maybe even in a different part of the state, and you're just trying, I got to get over somewhere in between Worcester and Boston, or somewhere in between Providence and Boston, or near Worcester, or whatever the case may be, but I want to live in a nice little town. So what is the first thing you do? You go on, you look at tax rates. So people came here for that reason. People cultivated a low tax rate in this town because they wanted one. So I think it is a little bit nose in the air to just start throwing around numbers of, 10% tax increases and things of that nature. And then when I first ran the numbers, it was 18.4%. But I've been told that was wrong. But maybe it's not wrong. So see, now I'm back to where I was with all these questions. So we got to get some more answers. Although we did get some from Paul tonight and from our emailer. And I don't like any of that information. None of it. So I don't know. Jim, thanks for being on.
Oh,
We got to
it's that
make way
time
for
already?
these guys.
All right.
3 on 11 comes up right now.
Actually, they're not on tonight, so you can go till 59.
Oh, they're not on tonight.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
How about that, huh?
boom. Isn't that nice?
You just got yourself an extra 4
An
minutes.
extra 4. What do you do with 4 minutes?
Let's
and
find out.
15 seconds. That's it. I'm out. I only plan the show 55. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we got nothing to say.
So anyway, we can actually go back now to what we were talking about with the wrap up for that federalist, anti-federalist fight, if you will. It wasn't a big fight. Let's face it. They knew they were making a new nation. They knew
Sure.
they were going to do something.
Yep.
They just didn't know if it was going to be, 13 different countries. How would it work? How is it going to formulate? They fought about it. It just seems to me that at the end of the day, when we have the information available to us right in these things called computers, or even better yet, on your phone. I only use this thing when I do the show.
Sure.
Who uses a computer anymore?
Yeah, you use your phone. I know. I like a
Yeah.
computer.
Oh, you do like a computer.
Oh, I prefer
yeah.
a computer
But you
over
can't
phone.
see either.
Yeah, good point.
Right? That's probably why you like it. But let's face it. You used to walk around with this. That was cool. Now you walk around with a little phone. You can do more
I
on
hate
that
it.
thing than you can on
I
this thing.
hate it. Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, your phone's also
My
really
wife's a
small.
phone. Yeah, it is.
It really
So
is
picking
small.
on my 5S, are you?
My 5S. Was that an Obama phone?
No, it's an
No.
iPhone.
Oh, it's
an
an
iPhone. It's just a very old one.
Wasn't he giving out iPhones?
i5, boom.
Oh,
It's
look
a
at
hand-me-down.
you.
My
Yeah.
kids get the upgrades, and I get the hand-me-downs, which is, still an upgrade from whatever I had.
From
before.
whatever you had, you're still
Right.
upgraded.
I'm still upgraded.
All right.
It's
So
kind of
that's
like
good.
you with your wife with your cars.
Yes, I was just thinking that
Yeah,
actually.
you get
My
the
car,
hand- you
yeah,
get the
you have
hand-me-down.
no. My car's got over 200,000 miles on it. My wife's car gets old, I take her car,
Right.
and we buy a new car, and she takes a new car.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Yeah, when are you getting an upgrade?
Soon, I
Or when
hope.
it-
My
or
car's
when it-
about to
or when
die.
is she getting an upgrade?
Yeah, right. Well, to your point,
You're
so am I.
Right.
Except I've already
more of a
been
side
using the
grade
car.
for you, though.
It's a side grade because it's like I use the car anyway. You know what I mean? It's funny. That is funny, but it's interesting. Most people, the hand-me-downs, have really exploded in big families, and in some families, though, it's like you can't. And in other families, it's everything is a hand-me-down. When we were kids, I got some stuff from my brothers. I definitely did. It was just me and my brother.
Yeah.
But not a whole lot. But definitely some. If I had a bunch of kids, there'd be some hand-me-downs.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
I know all about it. But, the wives will tend to, the first couple kids, they want them to have new, best, all the time. But after you get, into 3, 4 or more, they're not as concerned with it.
No, they're not.
Not nearly as
No,
concerned.
try
all,
the.
all of a sudden,
hey,
stuff goes
try,
in the box.
Try these shoes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, what are those from? Yeah.
It's funny.
I don't know, But what I will tell you, folks, is have fun with it. Enjoy, don't take all the politics too personally. At the same time, get involved. Do what you can do as far as just getting information, asking questions, and getting answers. So what? You put your neck out there. So you put your face out there. Sometimes it might get punched or slapped once in a while, but you got to get the info. And sometimes, I guess, to the emailer's point, you got to stir the pot a little bit. So I'm stirring the pot, okay? I will stir the pot. Completely stirring the pot on all sides, though. That's the
Right,
problem.
right.
That's where everybody says, I don't like that guy, Gary, right? Because you're right. I just call what I see. And right now, what I'm seeing on the schools is, I don't know, I'm leaving here barely 70.
Yeah.
Barely 70.
Ooh.
Walked in 90.
Woo, somebody's been making some moves on you.
So, something's happening here. Something's definitely happening here. And I would like to get some facts. But what I'd like everybody out there to do is get your facts, get your stuff, get your opinions, get ready to talk about them. Next week, I should have Messvin here. And we're going to talk about socialism, anarchy, communism, and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about it. And I'm going to give you some real examples so that you can understand why it's not the way to go. Freedom Network, over and out.
Nice.